Big city mayors are meeting in Toronto to talk about the problem of affordable housing. Thousands of mourners gather in Jerusalem for the funeral of former Prime Minister Shimon Peres.
The defensemen both into the top of the circles. Chara from Sekera, 1-0 for Europe.
And after a nail-biting game, Team Canada defeats Europe to snag the World Cup.
Hi, and welcome to Humber News. I'm Brandon Richard Austin, coming to you from our newsroom here at Humber College North Campus. Leaders from the country's largest cities are meeting today in Toronto for a special summit. They're talking about the problem of a lack of affordable housing. Our reporter Claire Jenkins was there and has this report.
Give municipalities the option to require affordable housing units in new residential developments.
Canada's mayors gathered today to speak about the country's plans to tackle the housing crisis.
First will be last and the last will be first. But I'm just going to go. This investment will help tackle youth homelessness, Indigenous homelessness, chronic homelessness, and the struggle facing Ontarians who are transitioning from provincially funded institutions and service systems such as hospitals.
Toronto ranks third among Canada's least affordable cities, and 20% of Toronto adults are living in poverty. 33% of homeless who live outdoors identify as Aboriginal. One of the key notes at the summit was the lack of adequate and affordable housing for members of the Aboriginal community. Shelley Charles, Humber's elder advisor on Aboriginal relations, says that funding for affordable living for Aboriginal communities should be a priority.
You know, we have a situation as Ontarians, as Torontonians, that we need to look at, and we are underfunded for housing.
The key message delivered by Canada's mayors at the Toronto Housing Summit today was that Canada is facing a serious housing crisis, which will only get worse unless the federal government commits significant funding to affordable housing. Claire Jenkins, Humber News.
Overseas now, it's not very often the passing of one man has the power to bring much of the world together. But today, thousands gathered in Jerusalem to lay Shimon Peres to rest. Dozens of world leaders said their final goodbyes to the former Israeli Prime Minister. The service provided a rare moment for Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas and Prime Minister of Israel Benjamin Netanyahu to exchange words and a handshake. The two have not met face-to-face in 6 years. Abbas was not the only notable presence at the funeral. Eulogies were delivered by Netanyahu, as well as U.S. President Barack Obama and former U.S. President Bill Clinton. Peres will be remembered as a symbol of peace for a region ravaged by conflict. The World Health Organization says 338 people have been killed in Aleppo in the past 2 weeks. All the deaths happened after a temporary ceasefire earlier this month. Latest images from the besieged city show a baby being pulled from the rubble. United Nations officials say Aleppo is facing a humanitarian catastrophe unlike any we've ever seen in Syria. UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon has declared Russia and Syria's use of destructive weapons as war crimes. Russia says it will consider a 48-hour humanitarian pause in the bombardment. US officials say they are considering different courses of action. Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte is causing another uproar with his latest plan for dealing with the country's drug problem. In an apparent reference to Hitler, he said he'd be happy to slaughter millions of drug addicts. Duterte made his comments this morning at a news conference with Philippine officials.
Hitler massacred 3 million Jews. Now, there's a 3 million drug addicts. There are. I'd be happy to slaughter them.
Earlier this year, Duterte came under fire from global leaders and the UN for calling an open killing season on drug dealers in the Philippines. More than 2,000 people have been killed so far. Among the deaths was a 5-year-old girl whose grandfather was the intended target. In China, rescue workers are searching through the damage left by Typhoon Maggie. Though the storm has passed, its damage isn't over yet. A hydropower plant collapsed today after rushing waters eroded the foundation. Staff members were rescued from the building and there were no casualties. Typhoon hit Wednesday morning and is one of the most intense tropical storms on record. It hasn't been a long time, but it's been a good time. After a 12-year expedition, the space probe Rosetta has ended its journey through the near solar system. It's been studying comet 67P since 2014. Early today, the European Space Agency turned Rosetta into a crash course with the comet. It recorded data and took pictures the entire way down. At around 7:20, the signal from Rosetta died as the probe hit the planet. It was launched in 2004 and took 10 years to reach comet 67P. 2 years ago, it dropped the Philae lander onto the comet. Scientists say the data will keep them busy for decades. Back on Earth, art lovers are gearing up for a big weekend in the city. It's that time of year when art floods the streets of downtown Toronto. Nuit Blanche is back this weekend from sunset Saturday to sunrise Sunday. The public will get to see nearly 90 art pieces from Dundas West all the way to Yonge Street. This year's art projects range from Death of the Sun to the Museum of Broken Watches. And if you're feeling hungry, don't worry. Lots of places across the city are open late just for this event. Closer to home, a new convenience for commuters at Humber College is turning into a danger zone for pedestrians. We get the story from Natalie Dixon.
Maybe it's called Zoom for a good reason. Students say buses are speeding through Humber's new bus loop. Usually vehicles are told to yield to pedestrians, but not here.
They just speed up into a corner and just try to make it quick.
There are even signs telling pedestrians to yield to the buses. Buses are swinging around this loop all day. A lot of students say it's dangerous. Manu Sharma has epilepsy and worries about his safety.
So as I was crossing the road, I had an epileptic seizure. It was a minor one where I didn't fall, but I was slipping. So the bus driver did not see that, and he was already driving erratically and did not take the time to slow down or stop. And I could have gotten hit.
Here at Humber College's North Campus, the bus loop can be a treacherous endeavor. Natalie Dixon, Humber News.
The Duke and Duchess of Cambridge will be leaving Canada tomorrow. They're wrapping up their royal tour of the West Coast with a final stop in Victoria. Yesterday, the royals met with families serving in the Canadian military at a children's party. Prince George and Princess Charlotte got right to business enjoying balloons, petting animals, and playing with clowns at the playdate. It was a rare public appearance during their stay here. The 8-day Canadian tour was especially memorable because 1-year-old Charlotte said her first word, "Pop," at the tea party. Italian police have recovered 2 lost Van Gogh paintings while investigating a drug syndicate. While investigating a known drug ring, Italian police recovered the paintings. They were painted by Van Gogh in the 1880s. The paintings were at the Vincent van Gogh Museum in Amsterdam when they were stolen. Officers found the paintings in a home near Naples that is linked to a known drug trafficker. Many Humber students say they experience an increase in stress during the colder months. Experts say that the reason behind this is because of seasonal affective disorder. Nehal Labana has more on the story.
Changing seasons is not always easy as we say goodbye to warmer temperatures. While the sky becomes gloomier, the new season may have a stronger effect on you and your mental health as many develop a seasonal affective disorder. Humber pharmacy technician Sandra Woods shares exactly what a seasonal affective disorder is.
What we have considered seasonal affective disorder is more so just noticing low mood or depressive symptoms in months such as winter or autumn, or just a variation of the mood symptoms in relation to the seasons.
Usually between late fall and early winter, individuals become less positive and develop feelings of hopelessness, sadness, and may find themselves oversleeping and see increases in appetite and weight gain. A study done by CAMH shows that approximately 35% of Canadians will experience seasonal affective disorder this year, and up to 80% of those affected by SAD are female. Students in particular may see symptoms of SAD, as many will wake up to dark skies in the early morning. This can trigger an individual to stay in bed and neglect school. Fitness and health promotion students Jamie Palucius and Dominika Bednarchuk share their methods on how they deal with the seasonal affective disorder.
I just try to write my thoughts down, or I just go for a walk. If there are days that's like it's raining outside or it's snowing and I can't go outside, I always try to do something that like captures my mind, either reading, writing, painting, or something like that.
For those experiencing symptoms of the seasonal affective disorder, be sure to check out your counseling services offered on campus. Neha Labana, Humber News.
When everything becomes too much, it's good to know that students and faculty can learn a lesson in staying in the moment. Alyssa Souza-Kerpal joined in on the fun and files this report.
Students and faculty disconnected to reconnect with themselves. Ellie Weisbaum led a session at Humber on how to be mindful. Weisbaum works on bringing mindful-based methods into education. She leads workshops in elementary schools and post-secondary schools.
Breathing all the way in once and out is 1, 2, 3. And to actually stop, and during those 3 breaths, do not think about anything in the future or past. And this actually allows our mind to fully take a break from our worries and fears and can help us kind of reset so we can be more focused.
Weisbaum introduced 2 activities. The first was a sitting down, deep breathing exercise. And the second was a walking exercise. Both activities included a bell, which brings everyone's attention back to the moment. Ellie will be at the Lakeshore campus later on today. Remember everyone, breathe in, breathe out, and be mindful. Alyssa Souza-Kerpal, Humber News.
Pope Francis was greeted by cheers when he arrived in Georgia today. Pope Francis is wrapping up his tour of the region. His final stop was in Georgia's capital, where he attended a welcoming ceremony. Not everyone was happy to see him. Many Orthodox Christians rallied outside the capital's airport to protest his arrival. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll tell you what's happening in the world of sports, and Brittany Billette will have your 3-day forecast.
Unfortunately, Brandon, it's going to be a wet weekend. I'll have more details in your 3-day weather forecast coming up after the break.
Before our break, check this out. Another viral video shows you don't need a gym membership to squeeze in a daily workout. This panda isn't letting his tight summer body slip away with the coming winter months. By turning a simple bamboo bed into a home gym, this fitness inspiration can begin his sit-up routine. Keeping to a strict vegetarian diet, this guy is sure to keep the weight off.